this piece is in reality is a projection upon a canvas, which is a digital C-print. I'm using three projections to create this trinity. Actually, you have a projection, you have the canvas, and you have the photographs.
Right. And is it a matter which you are trying to propose, which you are as a painter to
Yes.
of yourself, and plus to the support of the imagery of representation of this piece, you're trying to put up two different equations of...
Not entirely. Think about this. It's objective self, object, self, subject. The inner reality is subjective, outer reality is objective, and the self is the plane between the inner reality and the outer reality. So basically, do you know who is Gurdjieff?
Gurdjieff, I heard propositions, but I never met him myself.
According to Gurdjieff, there are three forces constantly operating on every matter.
Platitude.
Forces. It's like there are two forces competing, and there is also a plane on where they meet, and this is also a force. So also in paintings of Rerich, you can see the Pax Sculptor, which is quite often his Trinity. Trinity of forces, Trinity of spirit. So this is basically also about Trinity. Originally, so there are three bases. First base, the photograph, return of the prodigal son for our modern time. Unfortunately, the return to the innocence in our time is impossible. We have lost it. You can't return to it. So the second level are the projections. The projections are actually the hidden desires, repressions of femininity, which is missing from Christianity as the base. So in reality, if you think about why does the son in the myth comes to the father and not the mother? So it's basically femininity has been repressed, and it's still a hidden force which moves us. Even us too, as male, we still have a femininity inside, and we repress it. But at the same time, we're lacking what we're repressing. So we're looking for the women in order to fill this gap.
In terms of God, is that why?
In terms the terms of God is it's such a cliche term for our time. I mean, God, spirit. Let's keep it unnamed.
Properto. You mean like divisive attributes?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Hidden.
Yes, things are hidden. Layers upon layers. We are the projections. What is really hidden underneath, no one knows. Every second, we are the projection. We are different. That's why there is a device there, which if you control it, it's going to change the projections and the setting of the piece. The notes on this are in pentatonic minor scale to resemble, and they resemble church bells. It's I always, with my work, my biggest concern, besides, there are two parts always. First one is formulation, and or maybe first one is conceptualization and then formulation. Quite often in our society, we tend to forget about one. It's either a formulative work or a conceptual work. I'm trying to reunite them. So the work can live without an explanation, but at the same time, the explanation given, it just gives a different edge and understanding.
So it's a
and,
common
you mean
denominator.
at the same time that sufficiency of proprietal differentiation of formula concepts as well adjourns its advancements of preeminences of its idealization along with the incipience of object of projection. If the object of projection defines the offsets of its reintegration.
Of course, what you can also take a look from different places in the room, you're going to see the projection somewhat differently. So and it's built like I want to get an observer. Observer is always part of the equation. We change the perception of the work, not even perception. We change the work of art by observing it. By forming, because what we only have is an observation. When we, I think the correct word, English word is stipulate.
Emulate?
No. What about
interpassive or not interpassive?
What I meant is that when you are observing thing, and like any kind of event, the event is being created. There is something going on, but only by formulation of your observation, you forming an understanding. And this is all we have, just an understanding. Everyone's understanding is going to be different.
Right. Besides of inconformity or releases of abducive renderings, right? Because a lot of different abducive renderings, which are unexpectedly advised by.
You mean improvisation?
Well, yes, and retribution may be Ardian or ordained to discontinuums because they all in foreclosure somehow.
That's the answer. Yeah, that's why God sounds like a cliche. It's an improvisational, creative thing that's missing.
I mean, a man created a God in his own image. At the same time, God created man in his image. It's a vicious circle.
But what was this about Rembrandt and the prodigal son?
Okay, let me show this one now. So let's start from the beginning. This is my current understanding. Currently, the return is no longer possible. The father, when he came back, when the child came back to him for forgiveness, is no longer the same. He became an item within the flux between sexes. He is no longer the father. What is hidden inside?
Algidario.
Perhaps. It's sort of androgynous creation, where everything is lost. And the later movement depicts. Have you ever read Hermann Hesse?
No.
Hermann Hesse.
Yeah, Hermann Hesse. You've read Hermann Hesse. Steppenwolf.
Oh, you mean Symphyria?
Yeah.
Damien. He has a Damien, and here in that he depicts.
So it's already of remittance of asceticism.
No, let me explain. In there, he had a concept called abraxas, God of the unity of all. He's an ugliness and beauty, sexuality and dread, despair and pain, combined all into one. And I wanted to depict, in reality, what I wanted, but then I realized was a depiction of this abraxas. And it creates a unity between the feminine and the masculine, and their harmony. This is like what we have to return at our time, the complete unity, because the depictions of the old unity, trying to find forgiveness in something that denies one's demonize one and just builds a protective wall against masculinity is strange.
Right. So it's equationable reordination defines its inconceivable latitudes of its subsidial or not subsidial, maybe interventions, maybe not interventions, maybe perhaps in axioribiter or remains of boundaries sometimes equates in sequential.
But didn't you say that the woman is inside of each of the men too, so that you can be with a man in a monastery and it doesn't mean that you're without women?
It's something else. We all have a feminine energy. We all, and this, within us, we also have the primordial mother, the white goddess of Robert Graves. But we repress those energies within us. Doesn't matter if you're gay or if you're straight.
No, I wasn't talking about that.
No, but this is an important point.
Because I think that there's men and women too.
With all of us, we have it. But we live in the time when the primordial mother has been repressed in us. And if we dig deep into psychology of Jung, that's one of the biggest roots of our problem.
So how does that relate to Steppenwolf again?
It doesn't. It relates to Damien. It's a different piece.
Who's Damien?
That's what Hermann Hesse won a Nobel Prize in 1918, I believe.
I think it has to do with him because it has to do with young people.
No,
rebellion.
The book is called Damien.
And
yes, you're
that's
right.
What it is. It's about young people.
But you remember the Damien.
Young energy.
You remember the Damien from the book. His mother was depicted as an Abraxas.
What's an Abraxas? A mythological being?
It's agnostic. It's agnostic. It's a god with agnostic tradition of the ancient Greece. And after Christianity, there were a lot of sects.
That's why I mentioned.
There were a lot of what?
Daguerreotype.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Daguerreotype.
Yes. And a lot of my work is actually based a lot on looks. A lot of my
it does look
photography
like that.
work does look like a daguerreotype.
Like Renaissance
Yes.
prints and stuff.
One of my biggest
not in the
inspirations.
aspect of cynical concepts of definements has completely different subprovinces of its abundances of persuasion or not persuasion and retribution of aspects of understanding certain things. But daguerreotype means not in fortifier of how the implements of infusal or diffusal. Daguerreotype means either be a conceptual kind of vulturous equation of destined dimensions of irrequiferal.
That's like creativity.
Right, and irrequiferal differentiation does not allow sometimes to be
recreational?
No,
like
attribution of persistence.
in a church when they have what do they call it? Requiolary or something?
Yeah,
when they do like prayers and then they have things burning or they have holy water.
A standard on destination of willful emotional success.